So one of the biggest issues that I see with online fitness community, health and wellness people is that view things in absolutes, meaning it's either yes or no, black and white. There's no middle ground. I believe that, fully committing to something has its place, but in terms of actually living life, because there's more to life than just, muscles and lifting weights and shit, I think that balance is necessary. Anybody who tells you that balance isn't necessary is not reaping the full benefits of life, and especially when it comes to fitness. So, I wanted to go over some of the things that have helped me get into good shape and balance enjoying life, still maintaining good shape, seeing progress with my physique, all of that stuff. So, right off the bat, I think to get it out of the way, it's very important that you go through a phase of pretty focused discipline and consistency. You have to set a foundation, right? I think, like 50-50 is great, but if you're really trying to see results, whether it's gaining muscle, losing fat, you're gonna have to go through periods of complete focus, and that's undeniable, right? I just think in the longer term, stuff like that is not sustainable. But what do I mean by this? If you are starting from zero, baseline, you have to start showing up to the gym as scheduled, whatever your program may be, let's say 5 times a week. And you need to be in the mindset of, if I miss this workout, like the world is going to end. Obviously, it's not, but that's the sort of killer mindset you have to have when it comes to doing this as a beginner, because you have so far to go and you can't afford to just skip a workout every week. Like you could, but if you're serious about it, you can't. And for me, that's the mindset I was in. I was like, bro, I would like die before I skipped a workout. Back when I was 16, I had that mindset of like, I want this, I'm not letting this go. I'm gonna show up every single day. This was in quarantine. I'm gonna figure it out. I just had weights in my backyard, some bands. I would figure something out. It might not have been the best workout, the most effective, whatever, but it's the mindset of keeping the ball rolling. And when you're just starting out, you have to be all in. You have to be relentless with your training, your nutrition, your sleep. You have to take this very seriously. And that's going to put you miles ahead of the people who half-ass it in the beginning. It's obviously not a competition, but the reason why some people look a certain way and the reason why some people look another way is because of that mindset. And a lot of people aren't able to tap into that sort of dog mentality of blowing things out of proportion. Once you go through that phase, that's when you, if you want, can sort of take your foot off the gas a little bit. You've built a foundation, let's say, of muscle. Maybe you've lost a lot of fat. And I think it's super important to still maintain that consistency. But if it's like 11:45 p.m. and you're traveling the next day and you haven't hit the gym, you're going to be fine taking it off. Versus before, like I would skip something else to make sure I got in the gym. But what I mean is you allow yourself a little bit more wiggle room as you progress, unless you're like a bodybuilder, but I'm not a bodybuilder and I don't like recommend that. So when it comes to training, 5 times a week is a good rule of thumb. You could go as low as 3 if you want. You could go as high as 6. But once you've gone past that sort of grind phase where you've set the foundation and now you're trying to make, consistent progress, I would recommend going 5 times a week. You can run whatever split you like. Another good rule of thumb is don't go longer than a week without hitting a certain muscle group if you want to see growth, and then 2 weeks just to maintain the muscle. And when it comes to diet, because that is the biggest thing that has to be balanced, the way I approach it is when I'm cooking at home, I'm locked, right? I buy certain groceries. I don't really deviate from that grocery list, right? I'm not just buying Pop-Tarts and every snack that looks good and throwing it in my cart. I'm buying the same stuff, lean meats, some fruits, eggs, dairy, maybe sourdough bread, stuff like that. And then the times that I do have more flexibility with my diet is if I'm going out to eat with friends and family, if somebody else is cooking, like if I'm at, a barbecue or whatever, places like that. And that's where a lot of people get this wrong, because they keep that like grind mindset and then they end up missing out on shit that's more important than staying locked in for a certain meal. And that used to be me. I used to make that mistake when I did my first cut in summer 2022. Like I was super locked, and I'm glad I was, but at the same time, I turned down a lot of events in the summer and good meals because I was so focused. That has its place, but it is not sustainable long term. You want to enjoy 4th of July. You want to enjoy Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays, graduations, baby showers, whatever whatever you're into. You want to enjoy that. Like that is what life is about. This lifting shit is supposed to supplement your life, not be your life. If you're still in that mindset after like 2 years of everything needs to be 100% in line and you're not a bodybuilder who's competing, I personally think that's a problem. And you need to know when to relax a little bit and think big picture. People spam the 80-20 rule for a reason. 80% of the time, if you are going to the gym, eating clean, that 20%, and honestly, most of the time it's smaller than 20%, like it could be that 10%, isn't going to do anything against that 80%. If I'm eating clean meals throughout most of the week, let's say I have 21 meals in a week, right? And I have 2 meals, 2 out of 21 that aren't, my ideal meals. That's nothing. I don't know what the percentage is, probably like 8%, under 6%, maybe something like that. Negligible. So 80-20 rule is a great rule of thumb. When you're out, when you're going to the beach and you're hungry and you're with your friends, get a sandwich, bro. Get a cheeseburger, get a burrito. Like, that's not the time to be like, oh, I gotta go get my chicken and rice and broccoli and make sure that I'm locked. And then you're kind of just like suffering. Like, how many beach days do you get a year with your friends, chilling? Maybe a handful, maybe like 5, 6. And you're going to spend that time in your head. I think, yeah, when it comes to diet, you got to use your judgment. A lot of people who do go out and eat good food, sometimes they might just go for a cleaner option. Like, you can still go out and enjoy yourself. If you go out and there's a menu with a bunch of food, you don't have to choose the biggest back item. You don't have to choose the double deep fried chimichanga. Like, you can go for something cleaner and still enjoy yourself, So that's sort of the mentality you got to have. One thing that is significant within this topic is alcohol, and this varies for a lot of people. I do think you can live a healthy lifestyle and still drink. Personally, I don't do it because the effects of alcohol are a little bit more significant than, a bad meal here and there. So I don't really drink unless it's a very specific occasion. I'm with people that I really enjoy being with. The kind of drink I want to have is available. I'm very particular about when I drink, and if I do, it's like, I don't know, I could count it on my hand throughout the year. But for a lot of people, you can still go out. You can still enjoy yourself. Just what I would recommend is stay away from getting absolutely hammered every single weekend with sugary drinks, beer, fast food at the end of the night. That's the stuff that really holds people back. So what I've seen is if you are going to go out and drink, stick to clear alcohol, stay hydrated, make sure you're going to the gym the day before and after. You can totally make it work. I personally just don't do it. And again, that's the beauty of having your own lifestyle and your own preferences. So when it comes to fitness, staying in good shape, enjoying yourself, I think the biggest things to take into account are the people that you're with, spending time with people. You don't want to be restricted in your head. If you're with friends and family, like, let loose a little bit. That stuff is worth it. I always say, like, if you are going to have a good meal here and there, don't do it, like, in your room, just eating, like, a triple on, like, a Thursday at, like, 2 p.m. Like, save that stuff for good times when you're really going to enjoy it. Just use your judgment overall. Especially when it comes to food, think about, like, do I really want to eat this, or is it just there? Because half the time, I'll catch myself eating something and I'm like, bro, I don't even like this. And that's when you tap into the mindset of, all right, then I'm just going to stop. Because the old me would have just like kept going. Just be like, all right, I'm going to stop. When you keep things a little more loose, you don't place heavy significance on things. And I think putting so much significance on diet and restriction can be detrimental to living a healthy lifestyle. So this comes with time, to be honest. Like, gaining an understanding of how to balance things in a healthy way. It honestly just comes with time, because I've been on both ends of the spectrum. I've been in really strict restriction. I've also been on the end of kind of just doing whatever I want. Neither one is good. A middle ground is always necessary. So please try and find balance. And the best way to do that is just to, become more conscious of your daily actions. Are you eating when you're hungry, or are you eating when you're bored? Are you going overboard on certain things? Are you restricting yourself too much? Just start to take note of that stuff, and eventually you'll be able to sort of craft your own, like, I don't want to say rule book, but sort of way of living that just becomes normal. You're like, all right, well, like for me, for example, even when I'm not dieting, I would like never order French fries. Like if I got a sandwich and it came with fries, I'd be like, no, I'm good, I just want a salad. Like that's something that I just always do, and it's a part of my routine. Or if I'm like, it's Thanksgiving or Christmas and I enjoy red wine, I'm gonna have red wine on those occasions. And you sort of craft your own lifestyle. And I think once you can do that, it makes things a lot easier, and you spend less time in your head. That's what I got. Those are my tips. Thank you for watching, and I will be making more videos like this.